And welcome, everybody, to Orange First here on the Denver 7 Facebook page, brought to you by OtterBox. I'm Lionel. As you can see behind me. It's Halloween. The Denver Post said Fright Night last night. Last night on Denver 7, I called it a trick, not a treat for the Broncos in Kansas City. They lost 29-19. Brock Osweiler is ready to go. That's not official, but believe me, it's going to happen. Trevor Siemian, 3 interceptions last night, and today Vance Joseph met the media at Dove Valley. And that's where we find our Broncos insider, Troy Rink, live on the phone. Troy, on this Halloween day, Vance came out to address the quarterback situation, and we all heard it. He said it's not going to happen today, but I think it's going to happen tomorrow. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, Lionel. At this point, it feels like a formality. He just needs to meet with the players. Tuesday's an off day in the NFL, so he would never make a public decision like this without speaking in face-to-face with the quarterbacks themselves. But all signs point toward a pocket change. Siemian being out and Brock Osweiler being in. Vance mentioned that Paxton Lynch is not under consideration after only 3 practices. Frankly, that would be unfair to put him against Philly with 3 practices. But in the case of Siemian, there's ample evidence to make the change. 9 turnovers in the last 5 games. He hasn't won an AFC West road game in his career. They're 3-7 on the road under Siemian. And the fact that he can't stop turning the ball over. Vance Joseph told me, as he did in the summer when he chose Siemian over Lynch, he has to do what's best for the team. That's when, for me, it pretty much finalizes that they're going to have to sit Trevor because of the fact he can't stop turning the ball over. His confidence is shaken.
Yeah, I tell you what, Troy, on Xfinity Sports Extra, Woody Page, who'll be here in a second, he picked the Chiefs. You picked the Chiefs. I said the team that turned the ball over the most would lose the game. The team that won the turnover battle would win the game. And that's exactly what happened. It's all about the turnovers. Troy, I'm going to play this interview with Vance Joseph, then we'll talk about it. But let's listen to this right now from my phone here.
When you watch Trevor, even last night, okay, I mean, he made 3 horrible interceptions. I mean, horrific decisions with those 3 he threw last night. But he had 20 other plays that were really, really good. You know, so when you watch your starting quarterback make 20 or 25 amazing throws, amazing checks, and 3 horrific interceptions, that's when it becomes an issue because, you know, in your heart, you know he can play better. You know, he can play better because those 3 balls he threw, you just can't throw. You know, but the 20-plus plays he made in the 3rd and 4th quarter, man, it keeps you excited about the guy. So that's the issue. But again, it's about the results, okay? And we haven't had them. You know, we've lost 3 games in a row. Again, yesterday with 4 turnovers. So, end of the day, it's about results. It's not about, you know, how he's played. It's the end result that we're not getting, and it's not good.
All right, that is Vance Joseph right there today at Dove Valley. We are here on Orange First, brought to you by OtterBox on the Denver 7 Facebook page. Troy, you heard that. That's kind of the definitive soundbite that he can't just turn the ball. I don't care how he plays. In between, you can't turn the ball over in crucial situations like that, and you can't keep losing games. Is that kind of the definitive soundbite there from Vance Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to praise him for things he does well, but the problem is this isn't about one game. It's not in a vacuum, Lionel. They've lost 4 games this season, and every one of those games, Siemian has played poorly. If it were just about last night, of course he wouldn't get benched. It's about a trend. They're averaging 12 points a game over their last 5 games. They're one of the worst offenses in football, and he's right at the top in turnovers. Right. And they keep saying the only way this team can lose is lose the turnover battle. They've won 31 straight games, Lionel, when they win the turnover battle. Right now, one guy, and here's the other thing to understand. Vance Joseph said all last week, if we run the football, play good defense, you know, running the football is the best friend for Trevor Siemian. They did that last night, and he still played poorly. That's why, for me, you have to make a change. You can't look at the defensive players in the eye and say, no, we're good. He gives us the best chance to win. I don't think you could say that with a straight face. I talked to multiple players today, not for quote, but all told me they think Brock's ready. So I just think the change is coming.
Yeah. All right. Whoa! On Halloween, look who turned up here. Nice costume. I'm sorry, Woody. You don't have a costume on. Woody Page.
Yes, I do.
Denver 7 Broncos Sportslet. This is my costume. I love it. Yeah. All right. Well, Woody, we have Troy on the line here, and you wrote a column today. Change has to be made. Obviously, it's not going to happen today. The players aren't at Dove Valley, so Vance is not going to just announce it to us and to the public without talking to the guys. But Brock Osweiler will start in Philly on Sunday. Is there any doubt?
None whatsoever. Yeah, and what bothered me and what I wrote about is that he said before the season started, this is a permanent move. Well, we all know. We're smart enough to know nothing's permanent. And we've seen it too many times, and it usually involves a Kansas City game. Peyton Manning at one point. Tim Tebow came in and then started the next week after a Kansas City game. You go back in history, and Kansas City seems to be involved every time there was a quarterback change. And Kansas City can kind of do that to you. So, of course, it's going to be. But he wanted to talk to his players first, and I think that people kind of jumped that he was going to announce it today before the player. And I thought, well, the players sort of shuffle in after a road game later in the day and check for injuries, and the quarterbacks come in on Monday night to start looking at the game plan. So it doesn't surprise me. But what surprised me is that he might have called Trevor Siemian in early and said, you know, we've made this decision. But what also disturbed me was he said he made 20 to 25 amazing passes. Well, I don't know what game he was watching. Maybe he should get up. He should maybe coach from the press box as John Fox did after he had the heart problems and the surgery, because he's not seeing the same game on the sidelines that we're seeing at home. And now, since there's been the advent of high-definition TV, we can see the games pretty well if we're not in the stadium.
Well, as a quarterback, you just got to protect the football. You can't turn it over. He did hit Benny Fowler in the hands for a touchdown pass. Hit a couple other guys. They didn't make the catch. But overall, when the quarterback turns the ball over 2 to 3 times a game, you're just not going to win. Hey, Troy, John Elway also is going to be involved in this decision. Vance said that it's going to be a group decision with Musgrave, McCoy, Elway, Vance. John said on the radio that he feels fine with Brock Osweiler going in next week. This is a monumental part of the season right here. This point right here at 3-4, moving forward with 9 games to go. I mean, this week will be a defining moment in the season, right?
Well, if they're going to be a contender, yes, absolutely. I mean, Philadelphia at 7-1, as crazy as it sounds, this could be their trap game. The Broncos will go into Philly like the Giants came into Denver a few weeks ago. So there's a chance if Brock were to play well, and let's say he's 15 for 22, 1 touchdown, no turnovers, you know, could the Broncos pull off the upset? With their defense, anything is possible. I mean, it'd be unlikely, but it's possible. But you can't, again, say you're going to do what's best for the team and put Siemian back out there. His confidence is shaken. He's skittish. He's seeing ghosts. But, yes, it's a defining point in the season, because if you were able to win that and then you come home at 4-4 thinking, hey, we're back on track. I mean, they're really, what would you say, 1 loss away from being out of it, if not 2 losses away from being even viewed anymore as a contender. But 9-7 will get you in this year. It's a crazy bad league this year. Parodies everywhere. But yeah, this is a defining moment in the season. And if they lose the next 2, then I would expect Lynch to start against Cincinnati.
Right. You mentioned it. Vance said Paxton is not ready. Wouldn't be fair to him to put him in at this point with only 3 days of practice last week. So Brock is the guy going to Philly, and then if he doesn't get the job done, we're on to Paxton Lynch.
I just keep hearing about fair. What's fair? Let's be fair to Trevor. Let's be fair to Paxton. Life is not fair. Everybody watching this, my job is not fair. Your job has never been fair. We're called in. We're fired. I've been fired by a bunch of radio stations and TV stations, including this station once fired me.
Does Woody still work here?
Yeah, that was...
yes, we haven't been fired yet, Woody. So keep going.
That was 25 years ago. I'm just saying life is not fair.
No,
We go,
right.
I want to be fair to the players. Well, he's a leader of men, but is he a leader of a football team? And I'm still trying to figure out, watching either right there in the stadium, as I have most games, or on television, as I did last night, what exactly is he doing during the game? He's not going over either comforting or actually advising his quarterback. He's leaving that up, and you do in most cases, although Gary Kubiak was a quarterback, so he dealt with his quarterbacks. And I just think that Vance Joseph is not leading this team properly. I know he's a rookie coach, but he's making rookie mistakes. And as I pointed out earlier, you don't make a rookie mistake and say, well, this is a permanent move. This should have been a temporary move that was moved a couple of weeks ago, and it's still up in the air, even though we know that Brock's going to take over. And I don't know that that's going to change anything, but you talked about Philadelphia being a defining game. If that's what you're going to define this season on, then you can say, because the season's going to be over with, they're not going to go in and beat what is arguably the best team in the National Football League right now, with maybe the best quarterback in the league this year.
And just got a Pro Bowl running back this morning.
I just think they've already expressed and seen their defining moments. That was against the Giants, against the Chargers, and against the Chiefs last night. Those were the defining moments because, as I pointed out to you on Sports Extra the other night, when they go 3-4, or worse than that.
Right, 3 and 5 if they lose.
They've only made the playoffs once in history, and that was when they made a move that was miraculous, no pun intended, with Tim Tebow.
Right.
And otherwise, 18 other times, they don't recover. This schedule gets harder. It doesn't get easier. Philadelphia, New England, you got to go on the road except for 4 games, and they could possibly win 3 of those 4. The Jets coming in, Cincinnati's not very good. And they could win Kansas City because here's what I believe. They'll beat Kansas City in the return match because that game won't mean anything. I doubt that Alex Smith will play in that game because Kansas City now is going to run away. I looked at the schedule of Kansas City. They've got at least 5 games that they'll win the rest of the season. So think of that. 5 and 6 is 11. The Broncos can't get to 11. So as far as I'm concerned, the division's over with. The wild card is up in the air because you've got some teams. Raiders have not played extremely well, but you've got some teams that the Ravens are a very average team, but Buffalo has been a good team, propelled themselves from the victory over the Broncos. I think Buffalo's in for one of the wild card spots. I think that there's a possibility that another one could come out of what's the worst, supposedly the worst division, and that's where you got Tennessee and Houston and Jacksonville, and I think that could be a division that provides a second wild card team. And you're talking about the AFC West being the toughest division. It may be all of football. That's not going on. You got 2 teams with 5 losses and 1 team with a 4 loss.
Right. You got 3 teams in the AFC West with losing records right now. If the Broncos do go 3 and 5 after next week, you're right. That's pretty much it. All right, let's wrap this up. Troy, I want to talk to you, Woody, about one more thing. Vance Joseph actually addressed this today, mentioning Chris Harris Jr. and Aqib Talib by name, saying that those guys had expressed how upset they were with how things are going. So do you think this move has to be made to keep the locker room from splitting as well, Troy?
Yeah, that's part of it. And in fairness to Talib, the question was a leading question when someone misinterpreted a tweet by Talib today about saying the trading deadline 3 hours away, like he was looking to get traded. It was a complete misread of a tweet. But in Chris Harris's case, he was very blunt in his criticism last night that they're giving games away, they can't score offensively. So, yes, in terms of the fissures and the fractures in the locker room, they're starting to develop and surface again as they did last year, where the defense felt like last night they played well enough to win. Alex Smith was very ordinary for about 2.5 quarters last night, and there was an opportunity to win that game. If you only turn over the ball, say, twice, the Broncos might sneak away with a victory. So that's why if you take everything else out of it, with 3 straight losses and your quarterback turning the ball over, you have to change to save and preserve your locker room from just complete mutiny at this point if you throw Trevor back out there. Because then every other guy looks at himself, Lionel, and says, what do I have to do to get benched? And why is it different for him? It creates a double standard that this team, it's the last thing this team needs with all the other issues going on.
All right, Troy, thanks so much. Live at Dove Valley here on Orange First. We'll see you later today on Sports Extra at 4, 5, 6, and 10. All right, Woody, we'll wrap this up. Again, nobody doesn't like Trevor personally. Nobody doesn't, everybody loves the guy in the locker room. They know how tough he is, right? But for the good of the football team, you can't say, Trevor's our guy moving forward, and have the defense go, what? Are you kidding us?
It's like watching Jaws 2. We saw this. We've seen this story before, and the defense saw this story last year. I think the clubhouse and the locker room are already split. I don't think that the defense is going. You know, we've seen this. We saw all the Lethal Weapon movies. We saw it over and over and over and over again, whether it was good or bad. Yes, he is a Boy Scout. And I recently, at a grocery store in Denver, bought some candy corn or caramel corn from a Boy Scout. He didn't know how to sell it. I had to sell it for him. He was a nice kid. He was doing the right thing. He was trying hard. Well, guess what? That's Trevor Siemian. He's trying hard. He was a 7th-round draft pick and wouldn't have been drafted by anybody. There was a reason for that. He wasn't very good in college. I mean, he was good in high school, but so was you. You were good probably in high school. I just think that he never was going to be a great quarterback. Right. Someone explained to me, I think maybe Johnny Unitas was the last good free agent 7th-round kind of draft pick. Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft pick. Right. How many of those come along? So, I mean, they were putting their hopes in Paxton Lynch. That's not working out so well. Right. I think Brock Lobster will actually, and I'm saying that by design, Brock Lobster will come in and actually, with his claws and everything, do a better job than Trevor Siemian because he has been a quarterback in this league longer. He trained more under Peyton Manning, and people can talk about what he did in Houston, but he came in, was 5-2 for the Broncos 2 years ago. So I think he injects at least some more leadership qualities and a better arm, even though I still have a problem, and I did when he was a starter here. He throws it sidearm, so that makes him a shorter quarterback when he's throwing from here rather than up here. So I think it's going to change things. It's what I've told you before, that when I get on I-25 and there's traffic, I get off I-25. Even if I'm moving sideways,
do anything.
You're going to do something just to change things, and that's exactly what they should do. I think right now there's a decision to be made on Vance Joseph of how long he's going to be coaching the league, given that. Well,
7 games in?
What have you seen out of him? I mean, Josh McDaniels, after 6 games, was undefeated.
6-0, right?
It was only a year later that they got rid of him because he wasn't prepared to be a coach. There's a thing called the Peter Principle, and I keep talking about it, where you rise to reach a level of incompetence. And that means people keep getting promoted till they get to a job they can't do.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with Brock Lobster. Brock on into Philly this week. Not official yet, but it's coming tomorrow. All right, that's it for Orange First, brought to you by...
Not Brocktober.
It doesn't really have the ring to it, does it? That's right. Thanks for watching Orange First, brought to you by OtterBox. Woody Page, Troy Rank. We'll be back next week to tell you what happened in Philly on Sunday. Until then, have a great week.
Could it have been more frightening tonight?